We're live.
Yes, we are.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, long time no see. Welcome back for those who are already here to Three Girls One Deck. So, and sorry for the delay of the last one. We will be now having a couple very close together because we had to reschedule our last one. So you'll see us today, and then you'll also see us 2 weeks from now, and you'll see us next week on
You'll
our
also see us next week.
Yeah. So lots of weekends with us.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I know. I'm sure you're so excited.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am, as always, here with Heather and Julie, and let's go ahead and see if we've got anybody in the chat yet. So anyway, I am, as always, here with Heather and Julie.
Sarah, is that you?
That's me. Shoot. There. Okay, that was so embarrassing.
I don't know if we've got anybody in chat at the moment. Anyway.
I don't think we
There are
do.
people there, but they're not chatting yet. So.
Okay, yeah, because they're just so embarrassed by my total ineptitude.
No, I think they come to realize there will always be some snafu when it comes to our lives.
They're like gonna drop out and be like, "Oh my god, I cannot watch these shows." So bad. So, anyway, well, so
Okay.
for those who are here, welcome. So because we had originally scheduled this for 2 weekends ago, and the Saturday 2 weekends ago was the Saturday right before the spring equinox, and so we wanted to go for a theme where we were going to be talking about like spring decks that remind us of spring. So the timing seemed perfect for that. And we're still going to do that, even though it's 2 weeks later, because like it's still spring. So, so I don't know if one of you guys wants to go first, ladies, or we can start by Bo, which we did not do ahead of time, just like always.
Always. And then I end up going first.
I mean, I don't mind going first because I have no hope in hell of convincing either of you to buy this deck. So we might as well just get it out of the way.
All right then. Hi, Gerald.
Hi, Gerald. Yeah, Heather and I talked about this just a little bit before we went live, and she was like, I just realized that I have a deck that literally has aspects to it that you and Julie both absolutely hate.
Ooh.
So
hi, Lala.
Hello.
Yeah, so I'll jump right in. So I'm going to talk about the Spirit Song Tarot is my spring deck. And
Sarah, do you want to put her on?
Yes, I do.
On blast.
I 100% do.
Does a bit of conceit me though.
Damn it, I did it every time.
Then you just drag me over.
Then I drag you over.
There you go.
I know how to do things.
You do.
So let's talk about all the reasons why Julie and Sarah won't be buying this deck.
Okay.
Shall we? First of all, I mean, it's US games. The cardstock is fairly big. I have normal size hands for someone who happens to be 5'8" or 173 centimeters, depending on where you come from, and they're pretty big for me. So that's already like a cross in Julie's little box.
So are you saying that
they're an animal deck? It's an animal deck. It has keywords on it. It's like, so it's all the things that actually.
Oh.
Hello?
Hello?
Are you
I
there?
lost you both.
Oh no.
No, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
We can hear.
Hello. I can sort of hear you now, but I couldn't a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, we can hear you.
We can hear you. You're a little fuzzy.
Yeah, you're moving. You're kind of grainy, but
okay, you're both back.
You okay? So
okay.
But I didn't catch what Julie said at all because she started talking and then you both completely froze.
Oh, okay. No, I was just sorry to interrupt, but when you say cardstock, do you mean like the length of it or the thickness or both?
The length. The length is really the cardstock is amazing. The cardstock is really good cardstock. It's not too thick, it's not too thin, so it's card. It's thicker than Llewellyn, but it's not I can't do like GSM and all that kind of stuff. I can barely remember what GSM stands for most of the time. So, but it's good. It's really nice cardstock.
Okay.
I said I think it's grams per square meter, right? GSM.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think. Sorry, that was a total non sequitur, but it's US Games cardstock, right? So it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good cardstock. I'm trying to figure out the best place to hold it so you can actually see it. So actually, though, all of the things that you wouldn't like about this deck, particularly the keywords and the fact that it's an animal deck, are things that I normally wouldn't like about a deck either. But I love this deck. I really, really love this deck. It's really, I just love the way it looks. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And the keywords, a lot of the time I find with keywords that I know Sarah, you said the same last time, that they really like limit you and tie you in. You've both frozen again, but I'm going to carry on talking and assume that you can hear me.
We can hear you.
But I don't find that with this deck. I find that the keywords really open it out for me and give me so much to work with. Hello? I kind of caught a little bit then, but not much.
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Can you still hear me? I can't hear you at all.
We can still hear you.
We can hear you. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Not really. A little bit.
Okay.
We can hear you.
I'm just telling her that we can still hear and see.
Okay. We can hear you.
Heather, can you hear us at all?
Maybe you wanna.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we're okay.
Yeah. Okay. She's reconnecting.
Yeah, I think she's gonna reconnect. Well,
okay.
so
sorry for the technical difficulties, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, you know to expect this. I do think that when it comes to, I know people love US Games cardstock. It's hit or miss for me. I feel like I liked their older cardstock better. That was a little thinner and a little bendier. Whereas I feel like the cardstock these days, it's a lot stiffer. Like my Centennial, I can't even shuffle it.
Really?
I can't even shuffle it. No.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I really like it. I do agree that it is stiffer. Like the deck that I'm going to talk about is also a US Games deck, and so it does have a little bit of a stiffer quality to it. But I love US Games cardstock because it's super durable. It's not.
It is durable. Yes.
It's not like super matte, but it's also not super shiny, and it just it shuffles really nicely, and I think it's great. So
yeah.
So now picked her out completely. Oh, there
we go.
Now, can you hear us now?
We can't. Hello?
Hello? Heather?
Hi.
Hi.
I don't think she can hear us.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, and she's in the stream.
I give up.
Oh, no.
You can't hear us? Oh.
Well, I just removed her from the stream because I was worried that she would be. Let me try it one more time. Okay, I think she might have just logged off altogether.
Maybe she's going to try to reboot.
Yeah. Okay. So should I I'm just gonna tell her in the chat to try to reboot.
Yeah.
And you and I can just talk about our decks.
Okay.
Stop what you're doing. Sorry, my cat's being
like
we're just having like a total.
We're just having some technical.
Yeah.
The huge.
Okay. So do you want to go next, Julie, or do you want me to?
I can go.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so the deck that I chose, it's kind of like a spring deck, is the Luna Soul by they're going by K Medaglia now, I think. So This is actually the first edition. Now completely lost connection, so just carry on without me for now. Okay. So yeah, so basically this is the first edition from Liminal 11. So it has the borders and the cardstock. I love this cardstock. It is it's thinner and it's more like flexible. Whereas I think nowadays the Liminal 11 cardstock is quite
Oh
stiff
yeah.
from what I hear.
Well, every time I look at the Modern Witch, I'm like, holy criminy, that is a chunker of a deck. Like that
Exactly.
enormous. So
Exactly.
yeah.
I was, I was interested in that deck, but
Mhm.
every time I kept hearing people say that it was just the cardstock was not great. So
Mhm.
anyway, so I'm glad I had this first edition. It was a gift, and it would not have normally been. This is not usually my aesthetic. Hi, Heather. Can you hear us?
Yay!
Hi.
We have a bag.
Okay. Do you want to? So
No, I've completely lost my flow. Please feel free to carry on.
Okay. We'll go back to you as soon as Julie's done with Luna Soul.
So basically, this is really not my aesthetic. I mean, I love the color palette. I think the pastels are definitely my cup of tea. But the way the characters are drawn, not so much my thing. And I've said this before in other videos that you would think that this deck would be kind of, love and light and sorry, somebody's in my home. Love and light and just like a maybe softer, gentler deck. But actually, I just used this yesterday for a reading. I asked this deck, like, okay, what's going on here? Why am I feeling this way about this thing? Why is this not working out for me? And it basically was like, bitch, because we've been through this before. You need to like knock it off. And so so to me, this is a deck that I chose this specifically because I knew it would pull no punches. Like, this is a deck that I sorely mistook to be like a hug deck. It is not at least not for me. That's not how she reads.
Yeah.
I do like that there is diversity in this as well. It's not just beautiful people. Like, I feel like they're drawn a little, I don't know, like weird. I mean, not Anna K weird, but like a different kind of weird. Like, but
Julie, you're just started all
um,
again about the Anna K. Like,
so yeah, so this one, and what I also like about this one is that not only do you see different skin tones, but you also see more crones in this deck. You do see a lot of older people. So sorry, I know this looks washed out because it's pastel, so I don't know how well you can see it, but so in any case, I think that it does stay very true to RWS. It is very much like an RWS leaning deck. So sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. I hope that's not disturbing anybody.
No,
but yeah, so I have grown to really appreciate this deck. What were your impressions of this deck, and perhaps the reasons why you two opted not to get this deck?
I just had to pop this up there, not to be a spoiler for when we're on Carol's channel next week, but we're going to be discussing a certain very controversial deck, so you will all get to see us talk about that one again.
Talk about it some more again.
Share our strong opinions again.
Yeah.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. But anyway, yeah.
So I love Anna K. So for me, the Luna Soul, like, I don't know, I think, and this is true of most of the Liminal 11 decks, it's just it's literally just an art style thing. Like, I love the diversity, and I think the color palette of it is beautiful. And just the art that you've been showing, I'm like, actually, a lot of those cards are really cool. Like, I think you showed the Ace of Pentacles, like that was a really cool card. But there's just a cartoony kind of quality to the human figures in it that it's just a little bit too cartoony for me. And I just have a like super like a line I can't even explain about what constitutes too cartoony versus not too cartoony. It's just a reaction I have, and so that's why I haven't I actually don't own any Liminal 11 decks, I think. So
I think this is the only one I own.
mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, and I didn't even, you know, it was a gift, and I mean, I think what stopped me from a lot of the Liminal 11 is the card stock.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know,
Mhm.
that's become quite a deal breaker for me now. But
I think
yeah, so
most
like I said, I
people-
agree with you. This feels very much an art aesthetic that is not what I would be attracted to.
Mhm.
Like I'm attracted to everything else about it, but like their faces. But you know, it still reads. It
Mhm.
reads like a song. It really does.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, Gerald, let us get you started. What is it about Liminal 11 decks for you? So please share. He just said, "Don't get me started on Liminal 11 decks," and I'm like,
oh yeah, okay, yeah.
sure. Yeah, please start.
Yes. Yes, Joe. Spill the tea.
Yeah.
So
No.
yeah, anyway, and it's just it's just a great reader. So that I mean there's not really much more I have to say other than um anybody who feels like it might be a little on the gentler side,
Mhm.
uh don't let this deck fool you because it does have a very strong voice, and it's very cutting. And this is the deck that seriously, like, you know, even yesterday, it's like I want uh, a straight answer. I don't want I don't want the message to be like beating around the bush. I just tell it like it is, and I knew this deck would do that.
Mhm.
Mm.
So
I actually like this deck. I had this deck on my wish list, but I
Oh.
had this deck and the Cosmic Slumber on my wish list.
yeah.
And somebody bought me the Cosmic Slumber for Christmas,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're fairly similar. So now
Yeah.
I've got that one. I'm not sure that
Yeah.
the Lunar Soul would really add anything
Mhm.
now, but
True,
I really
true.
like it. I actually really like the cartoony style. It's a style of art that I love
Mhm.
in general, and I found that actually, apart from the Modern Witch, that's the other Liminal 11 one, right? Which
Yeah.
has the weird plasticky
Mhm.
layered cardstock. The Cosmic Slumber and the Lunar Soul have the same cardstock.
Mhm.
Oh.
So I don't think the Modern Witch is Liminal 11's normal
Okay.
cardstock.
Oh.
I actually think that's a one-off
Okay.
for that deck for some reason.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that's good to know in case
Mhm.
something ever happens to this deck and I, you know, need another copy or something like that.
Mhm.
I think really the only difference is that it's borderless now, right?
Mhm.
And the packaging,
Yeah.
because I believe this had come in maybe a tuck box. I can't remember, but now they've, even though Gerald is talking about the packaging
Yeah.
with the extra piece of cardboard, but I think even first edition was like way less
Like,
fancy
what
than
do you
that.
mean extra piece of cardboard? As in round, like, what do you mean?
Like, so you know how they have those nice boxes now where
Yeah.
it's like the lid comes off this way,
Yeah.
I think. And then they put in a piece of cardboard inside to like kind of fill the gap.
Oh,
To
sure.
keep
To
it
give it
from
so
moving
it
around.
doesn't. Yeah.
No,
So
the
you can
Cosmic
take it out
Slumber
and
didn't
throw it
come like
away, and
that.
then it comes in and out easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Cosmic Slumber didn't come like that. The Cosmic Slumber is one of those boxes, but it has a flap on the bottom, so it doesn't fall out when you
I
lift it
think
up.
that's the new design because people were bitching about the little
Yeah.
cardboard insert.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, just wanted to say, Kirsten, thanks for stopping by, even though you couldn't say it, and welcome, Mistress Ray.
Hello,
So
Mr.
thanks so much
Ray.
for dropping by, folks.
Yeah. And it comes with just this little white book. It's decent. You know, it's decent. I think it gives you just what you need. And I think that, you know, if you were to say buy some type of like Tarot 101, this deck would go well with that in terms of a newbie trying to learn that doesn't necessarily want the old school pixie imagery. So yeah, so I was won over, sort of. We've had some contentious moments for sure in the beginning because I'm like, you're supposed to be nice to me. You're pink and you're purple and you're supposed to be nice.
I know.
But you're an asshole. And so at one point I put it away because I was like, I cannot. But then since I've got, just because the readings really they're really something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, you need a deck that can kick your ass sometimes. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I love this. Mistress Ray went on a search for the Holy Grail by searching for a version of the Modern Witch that she could shuffle.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
it was the German version.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah, the German version. Seriously. Hi, Veronica, dude.
And
Um, so I
and
mean,
she found one. Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, I don't mind mine. I have to admit, segueing a little bit there, but it is probably bar none. Oh no, wait, there might be decks that are worse, but
Hi, Sarah.
it's one of the worst cardstocks personally I've ever owned. I hate the cardstock of the Modern Witch, and I love
Yeah.
everything else about that deck.
That's the consensus that the Modern Witch cardstock sucks.
Yeah, it's
So,
really bad.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I hear that.
And also, my box I don't think has card or anything in it, which is really. But you have to squeeze it when you pick it up, otherwise the bottom just falls out because of that two kind. That
Yeah,
two
right,
thing,
right.
which is why they've now put the flap on. The Cosmic Slumber's great
Mhm.
Yes.
in like every way, but the Modern Witch is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. So yeah, so that's it for me. That's right. That's right. It is durable. So
Or taking to the beach. It's
yeah,
perfect for taking to the beach.
yeah,
Or
there
the
you go.
bar, if you need to lay it on a,
Bar, yeah.
tabletop with condensation all over it.
Boom.
Is it the
Sarah
bar?
says she's been selling decks with bad cardstock. I want to use them, but just don't. Yeah,
I
totally.
don't, yeah, I don't blame her. I don't blame her. It's become seriously one of the biggest deal breakers for me. Like even I mean, it would have to be a pretty special deck for me to still want to get it despite. Like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, I can use my dice, but and that can be fun at times, but I'm not going to be carrying around dice with me everywhere because I read in different places, so I just want to grab the deck and be able to handle it,
So here's a question for everybody, like everybody.
Mhm.
If your choices were, like, obviously we all want the ideal cardstock, but if your choices were cardstock that's really thick, or like the Modern Witch cardstock, or like really thin papery cardstock, like there's been decks like the
Like the
beauty
Antique
deck.
Anatomy, that first
I
Antique
hate
Anatomy.
that
Yeah.
cardstock.
Which one would you pick if you could only pick out of those two extremes?
They are comparable. That's the thing. Those two feel the same. I mean, well, okay, I can't say that because I've never had the Modern Witch, so I don't precisely know. But I just feel like the Antique Anatomy. So I
That's
have
the one I'm
the
trying to think of. Yeah.
yeah, I have the edition that they fixed, right, for the better cardstock, but it is so stiff, I still cannot shuffle it. And so I don't know. That's a good question. I would thin. I would say thin.
I would go
Yeah,
thin.
thin
Personally.
seems to be the consensus for
I
most
would go
people.
thin.
I
Yeah.
would say thin as well,
Yeah.
because there's always like you can riffle shuffle thin decks, you can shuffle them, you can hold them easier. If you've got a thick deck and you've got small hands or arthritis, whatever,
Yes,
you're fucked, aren't you? Basically.
that's true, Veronica. You could always use
Mhm.
contact paper. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I always feel like with the thicker decks that kind of lean towards, cardboard, like if you have one little, just kind of slip of the wrist or something, you are going to crease it. I've already had it happen to a deck of mine where
Me too.
it just doesn't have that bounce. Hi,
Hey,
Jonathan.
Jonathan. Yeah, I think we got a consensus that people would rather have
That's
thin.
thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, same here. Like would you stop? Sorry, she's being super annoying. My thickest cardstock deck is the Texture Tarot, which luckily I adore, but that deck is literally made out of like cereal boxes is what it
Yeah.
feels like. And it
Yeah.
creases so easily. It's just the most brittle cardstock ever. And I bought myself a backup copy specifically because I have wrecked some cards in that deck by getting creases in them. And that's the only deck that's ever happened to me with.
Yeah.
And it's the thickest deck I own. So yeah, absolutely. Tarot Geek agrees. Much rather have thin. Yep, totally.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems to be the consensus. No, I don't think I've seen anybody say I'd rather have thicker cardstock.
Mhm.
The two. I mean, in an ideal world, we don't want either, right? We want the
Mhm.
perfect cardstock, but
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Texture Tarot as a deck and I use it all the time, but the cardstock is god awful. Like it's honestly the worst, and it's only because that's literally one of my most workhorse decks that I put up with it.
Right.
The cardstock is awful. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that is it for me.
All
I'm
right.
living a soul, so you can take me off the big screen.
All right, Heather, are you ready to take over again? Are you?
I don't know. If it crashes, I'm just giving up. I don't know what's wrong with my internet. It's because it's like I think it's just a really funny time of day for me in the UK when we do this, and because it's Saturday evening, everybody's trying to connect to their Wi-Fi all at the
Oh,
same
that
time.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So it just gets really spotty sometimes.
Yeah.
But so sorry about that. And the
everybody's
moment where I realized that you could hear me, but I couldn't hear you at all.
Yeah,
And then it
we
just
could
kicked
hear
me
you.
out.
We could see you. We saw you go like this. And
What is happening?
what is happening here? And we were like, Heather. And then I kicked you out of the stream because I was worried that you thought we couldn't see you, and I wanted to make sure we weren't like watching you when you didn't realize. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't do anything embarrassing. You saved me from embarrassing.
Yeah.
Not that I do embarrassing things, but anyway. So I can't remember what I was saying. Can you remember what I was saying?
So you were talking about oh, go ahead, Sarah. Oh, I thought you were.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh no.
I'm just people are talking about Llewellyn cardstock and they like it.
Yeah.
And I like it too.
Llewellyn cardstock for the win.
Yeah, I like
it.
Mm-hmm. Although I really love this cardstock. Like this is great cardstock. It's bendy, but it's not too bendy. It's not too thick. It's not too thin. It's like Goldilocks cardstock.
See, I wonder if that was like old US Games cardstock. We were talking about that when you were kind of offline, because I feel like there are two different types of US Games cardstock that I've experienced, and one is wonderful, and the other feels thicker and stiffer. And I feel like that's the one they've been going with a lot more lately.
Yeah, well, this one very handily has its date on the back of every card twice.
Thank goodness. Thank you for that, US Games.
Yeah, thank you.
Right?
Production quality choice we all appreciate so much.
Exactly.
So yeah.
No one needs it.
From 2017. This
Okay.
card.
Yeah. So that might still be the older one. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good cardstock. But
yeah. If it's
I love Paulina Cassidy's artwork. I love her artwork. I would quite happily, and there are a few of her decks that all look the same, and I would quite happily own them all because I love them.
Yeah.
And I love how pastel-y this deck is, which is an unusual choice for me as well. I don't know the first thing about any of the animals on this deck at all, but that's why I like the keywords, because I can still use the deck without having to think about it too much. So, and that is the two things I love most about this deck is, one, I don't have to think about it too much because I have the keywords there, and they're just enough for me to be able to go with them and to like get my brain going and get my own intuition kicking in without putting me in a box. And also, this is the most positive deck. So sometimes, sometimes you really want your ass kicked. And sometimes you think, look, I know things are shit right now, and it's fine for you to tell me that they're shit, but give me the positive side of the shitness. And this deck does that beautifully. So you've got like, I'll show you what I mean. So you've got like the 9 of feathers, the keywords that she's got on there. Can you see that?
We can see it, yeah, but not. Go ahead and read the words for us.
They're perspective and self-empowerment.
Oh, okay.
For the 9, and the 9 feathers is swords, so that's the 9 of swords. Like the devil's been replaced with the shadow, and you've got self-empowerment and ambition. And the tower is release and revelation. So they're all really, really positive words. So sometimes I just want, sometimes I'm like, look, I already know this is rough and this situation is crappy. I don't need my deck to tell me that the situation's crappy. I need my deck to tell me what the shiny side of the crappiness is. And this is the perfect deck for that. It's not, I admit, it's not a deck I use all the time. It's not like a everyday type deck. I genuinely mainly pull it out when I'm in that space where I'm like, I need somebody to just give me a pat on the head and say, we know this is crap, but just look at it from this perspective, and it might feel a little less harsh.
Yeah.
And so I love it for that.
We got a question here from Pamela about, does this deck feel sharp and rough on the edges at all, or does it have?
No, the edges on this one have been rounded.
Okay.
Yeah, but even so, I think goes back to that like cardstock, because the thicker one it hurts to shuffle.
Really?
It is sharp.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no. This one's it's a lovely cardstock to use. It's really easy to shuffle with.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's not too thick.
That could also just be Julie's Princess and the Pea tiny T-Rex hands.
No, because Pamela's saying right there, she agrees that her decks seem very different. And I honestly think, I do honestly think that thicker cardstock is sharper. And yes, okay, I do have delicate T-Rex hands.
Yeah.
It's not mutually exclusive.
We have some fans of low Scarabeo cardstock here too. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I think Lo Scarabeo is also that hit and miss for me. They have two different, once again, I've had ones where they're like chef's kiss, and then I feel like the newer ones, especially the ones that come in that newer box, the nicer box as opposed to the tuck boxes, they're a lot thicker.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you know what? I don't really think about cardstock. I'm just thinking about it now, and I'm looking at whenever I stare off vacantly in that direction, it's because that's where all my decks are. They're in that corner of my room. I've not just stopped listening. I'm thinking. But unless the deck has really crappy cardstock or really good cardstock, I don't think about the cardstock at all. Like, there are decks on there where I think I couldn't tell you what the cardstock's like without actually getting them out. And I think that's because it's neither great or crap. It just is. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. But I know all the cardstocks on my decks.
Do you? Yeah. Well, I mean, we all have different things that is important to us, don't we? With anything, any interest that we have, there will be different things that are important to us. And I think the cardstock is just one of those things where, unless it's exceptionally bad or exceptionally good, it isn't a huge factor for me.
So Hyun is here. Hi, Hyun. Much other than us just having extreme technical difficulties for a little while.
Yep.
And then
she means me.
And Julie talking about the Lunasoul and how it's a bitch, but very pretty and awesome. So we're doing spring decks today, or spring decks that feel like spring.
Yeah, spring.
So we've got it's low.
I hate linen cardstock.
I love it.
I
love it so much.
I love linen too.
Oh, so great.
I love the feel of linen cardstock. But I just and I know we've talked about this before.
Yes, we have.
But I don't want to be able to see the cross-hatching of the cardstock in the image. And when the whole point of a deck is the image, the fact that you can see all the cross-hatching in it infuriates me on a level I cannot even describe anymore.
Wow.
I mean, does it bother you when you look at an oil painting?
No, but I'm not planning on reading with an oil painting.
That is a very fair point. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is totally true. Older US Games cardstock is fan-freaking-tastic, to the point that I have purposely sought out from my Morgan Greer, and I also got the Tarot of a Moon Garden, and when I bought those, I specifically looked for old 80s and 90s versions on eBay, because that old US Games cardstock is gorgeous. So
smart, because I have the new one now, the newer cardstock that is once again a bitch to shuffle. But I've trimmed that one down, so it's whatever. But
yay. Okay, so we
not unpopular, Hyun.
We got an unpopular opinion. Hi.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Beth. Oh, we've got Benabelle here too.
Oh my goodness.
With an oil painting. That's fair. It's a fair comment. What can I say?
Fair point, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, so as far as the spirit song, Julie, what do you think?
I go back and forth on. I mean, I like Paulina Cassidy's artwork. I think it's beautiful. And I remember you talking about this deck, Heather, when you first got it, which was that initially you were having some trouble, which is, I feel like, the same trouble that I would have, in that, from just kind of an innate level, that particular animal, it doesn't draw up any connotations or archetypes for you. And so how does this connect to the keywords, for the certain images? But now it sounds like you're saying that they actually do work really well.
Well, I think it's not necessarily that they work really well, because I still don't, I don't know the first thing about animals, and I don't like. So this one is a horse, which is responsibility and dedication. I'm terrified of horses, so responsibility and dedication are not the first words that pop to my head when I see horses. But I've kind of got to that point where I've realized that it's almost like this is the one tarot deck that I use where the images are irrelevant.
Huh. Okay. So basically with the animals, really any kind of archetype associated with the animals doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the meaning of that card. So
They
it's
might
almost like the animal characters, right? Is that
no. I mean, that might not necessarily be how the way the deck is designed. I think actually she does talk about in the guidebook, sometimes she does make the connection between the animal that she's picked
okay?
and the keywords and things. But for me personally,
Yeah, that's just not how you read it.
I'm just not. I'm
Yeah.
not really interested in animal symbolism, and I don't use this deck enough to care about spending the time learning all of that and figuring it all out and stuff.
Yeah.
So in order for me to use this deck effectively, I've just got myself into that mindset where the pictures are pretty and I like them and I like her artwork, but I don't really use them in terms of using the actual deck. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. I think her decks are beautiful. I think once again, with my old eyes, they're a little on the busy side. The fact that I have trouble as it is with something like Shadowscapes, I feel like that deck with the kind of pastel colors and just more like the intricacies of the drawing, I wonder if I would have a lot of trouble, and I think in terms of the keywords, I've really come around on keywords, ever since we had Gerald, talking about the, was it the 5 cent tarot and, my working with putting my own keywords on my own decks. Like I've come around to that. So I don't know that, I mean, if I agree with the keywords on that deck, that wouldn't be an issue then, but I still think, just the details, just how detailed and ornate it is, and that it's an animal deck. So that's just kind of, but I have been tempted also by her other decks where the character's a little more, they're like fae, or I'm not sure, but they're like,
the Paulina and the Joie.
The tarot, and that's. I've got another one. I've got the
Joie de Vivre, right?
Yeah. I've thought about that one too.
Julie, the strength card is an elephant.
Look, I thought about that. I really have. That was, I mean, seriously, I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. But, I don't know.
And it is a beautiful card.
It's a beautiful deck. It's a beautiful deck. Also, another thing I found that I am not as much a fan of is when they rename suits and such. I'm finding I dislike that more and more. So it sounds like that deck does do that, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So you have shells, acorns, feathers, and crystals.
So is shells water?
Cups,
Cups.
Yeah.
Let me try to guess here. Acorns is earth, or pentacles, earth. Sea.
No. Crystals is pentacles.
Okay, then acorns are
wands.
See, that's weird to me. That's weird. That's not how I would associate that.
Well, I mean, because they would be grow into a tree, so they're wood. They're a seed, so they're the start of something. So
okay, I guess.
I think it works for me. I think it works. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I think acorn, like earthy, tree, from a tree. So I just think of trees and earth and like, I don't know.
I suppose that, but acorns, you think like a whole oak tree exists inside that tiny little acorn. So it's like the spark of something much bigger.
I mean, I can,
Whereas
I
crystals literally come out of the earth.
totally understand that, and for me, I
Mm.
still think earth. I
Yeah.
think
Fair
of
enough.
nature. I just can't help but think
Yeah,
of
yeah.
acorn
Yeah. We got
springing
lots
more
of people in
nature,
the
bird
chat
more.
agreeing with you also. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, so I'm, you know, and I used to have the little witchling deck that is also
Oh, yeah.
which was really cute. I just never used it, but that was kind of less busy and just different, obviously, as an oracle deck or a spell deck. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I know it's pretty and has an elephant in it, and but I think this one's still probably a no. It would probably be another Paulina Cassidy deck over that one, I would think. What about you, Sarah?
I actually did own the Paulina Tarot at one point, and again, I love Paulina Cassidy's artwork. It's one of those ones where it's like I'd hang her artwork on my wall,
Yeah,
but I have a hard time reading with it because, and I did declutter the Paulina, and I remember saying when I decluttered it, like one of the problems that I had with it is that I had a hard time, like I could look at an image and it wasn't immediately obvious to me which card I was looking at without looking at the caption because there was just so much going on that I was like, well, what am I looking at? I don't see wands. I don't see cups. Like, I don't see anything except all these beautiful swirling colors. And it just it just didn't click with me from a reading standpoint. So, you know, again, would love it. That's one where I would love it as an oil painting, but not as a deck to read with. So yeah. But, and again, this one to me, I'm not the hugest animal deck person. And I mean, it sounds like the keywords on this are really good, but keywords make my brain die. Like, I don't know what it is. It just turns my brain off. Like they do. I look at a keyword and all I can do is like repeat the keyword to myself over and over and over again and not think of anything else.
yeah.
So, my brain just like shuts down when it sees a keyword. So, and that's just my own dumb thing. Like, I don't know why that is, but that's just what happens. So, so I just it is what it is. So
Yeah, I knew this was a hard sale, and by hard sale I mean I knew it was never happening.
yeah.
For either of you. You know, you got to try, right?
This is cool. We've got a lot of people who also would have trouble with the artwork. Some people are talking about the Shadowscapes as well, which is another deck where I just like visually couldn't. It's so beautiful. Again, would hang on my wall in a second, but can't, like, I just could not. Yeah, we've got Pass My Joie de Vivre line. Oh, and this one too. This is interesting. There doesn't seem to be a focus in the Spirit Song artwork. And I kind of get what you mean. Like, it's sort of all pastel.
It's all things, yeah.
Yeah. Like, there isn't a figure in
focal point, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
Every single card has an animal in its almost in its center. I would say that the animal in every single card is the focal.
Oh yeah, okay, so that one, yeah.
So, yeah.
But see, like that one, what was that one? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then the chariot, you've quite clearly got the rhinoceros. So yeah, personally, I'm not sure I necessarily would agree with that.
Yeah, the Joie de Vivre. Okay. Yeah, hang on wall, no for deck. Hi, Rochelle, by the way. Hi there. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, beautiful artwork, but there are just I need to be able to tell right away when I'm looking at a card, like, what it is, and it's so. All right.
Right.
You want to take
Sarah?
Huge, please, Sarah.
I will make myself huge.
Good idea.
All right. And okay. So again, the theme here is spring decks. So we were all bringing decks that reminded us of spring. And I love this deck. The deck I brought is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. And I adore this deck. And I know this is probably going to be a hard sell too. And I think this is a hard sell to a lot of people because they look at this deck and they think, oh, it's just a bunch of plants. Like, how am I going to read with that? And I had the same reaction at first. Like, I don't know jack shit about plants, you guys. Like, I am not an herb crafter by any means. But I love this deck. And I find that I can read with it very easily, understanding the system of it and using the guidebook, and I just adore it. So so this is the Herb Crafters Tarot, and again, this is Joanna Powell Colbert is the artist, so she's the same person who did like the Gaian Tarot, and then Letitia Guthrie is the author, and it really is just a deck that is based on plants, and the artwork is stunningly beautiful. I put some of my favorite cards up at the top. It's just got this stunningly beautiful, very soothing artwork. But the thing that I love most about this deck is the system of it. And the system actually, if you read with it elementally and numerologically, the system of it makes so much sense, which I think is the amazing thing about it. It actually makes this deck pretty easy to learn. So, because from a numerological standpoint, they have the way that they create the associations. Like here's a 2, for example. All of the 2s in the deck are plants that are good for pollinators, because 2s have this concept of attraction and duality, and like those aspects of it are encompassed in the concept of a plant that is a pollinator. The majors in the deck are all plants laid out in some kind of like ritual use or altar. And they tend to be all plants that have sort of a long history of ritual or magical uses. Here's an 8. The 8s are all roots, because you have to work kind of hard to get the goodness out of a root. You have to dig it up and put some work in to get the goodness out of it. And all of the numerology makes sense that way. And then the elemental associations, this is a curandera, which is the equivalent of a king in the deck. But basically all of the fire cards are plants where you can get the properties via alchemy. So anything that you can make a tincture, a vinegar, an oil. All of the water cards are plants where you get you can extract the goodness of the plant with water. So by making like a tea or putting them in a bath. All of the air plants are plants that are just shown in more in kind of their natural state. Like they're plants where it's more about like understanding the meaning of the plant and the way that plant is used and the way that it appears in nature. And then all of the earth plants are plants that are used in some sort of way where they make a tool. So like you might use them to weave a basket or make a fence or make fabric. And so from an elemental and numerological standpoint, once you combine those things together, it really makes a ton of sense. And the guidebook is really, really good in terms of, giving you some additional kind of perspective on how these different plants can like sort of fit into that intersection of the element and the numerology for each of the cards. And it's just, I love this deck so much. Like it's so beautiful. And the court cards are amazing, because the court cards are where you start actually seeing human figures interacting with the cards, like a person's hands appear in each of the court cards. And so the court cards are the pages are hijas, which is daughter in Spanish. The knights are adelitas, which is warrior, a female warrior. And then madres are the queens, and curanderas are the kings. So, but anyway, it's marvelous. Like I love this deck so much. I've talked for a really long time, but I really think that even if you think that you can't like work with a plant deck, it's worthwhile giving this deck a try and reading the guidebook, and like, because the system of it makes it easier to learn than you think. So that is the Herb Crafters Tarot. I don't know what you guys think. But
does it actually teach you about the herbs?
Yes. Yeah, the guidebook is really good. It has a solid amount of information. Like there's a full page on each of the plants. It explains what's in the card. It explains how that plant is used. It actually gives you some ideas of how you can use the plant in ritual or in daily life. And it fully explains like why that plant corresponds with that particular card. And yeah, it's really good. It's a US Games deck. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here. Sorry, scrolling back. So yay, yes, the herb crafters. Lots of people who are interested in this one.
This one is actually on my wish list, and I don't know what it is. I genuinely don't know what it is that's stopping me from buying it, other than I know nothing about plants. I know nothing about animals. I know nothing about plants. I'm literally the worst pagan on the planet. Just putting that out.
Well, this deck would help you learn something about plants, and I think this is interesting. Beth says that it has a very southwestern feel, and Letitia Guthrie, who is the author of this deck, is Latina, and so and especially obviously in the names of the court cards, there are many. And like we looked at the death card too, for example, which is marigolds, and it's a Day of the Dead.
Yeah, marigolds. That makes sense.
So there's lots of nods to Latina culture in this deck. There's also a real focus on sustainability in the deck. Like all of the 5 cards are, because 5 is a number of adversity, right? All the 5 cards are endangered plants. And so it's plants like white sage, and slippery elm, just plants that we've overused as humans, is all the 5s. And then I think we also looked at the justice card, which I absolutely love, which is cannabis, which is just such an incredible choice for justice. I think this deck is so well done. So yeah, it's really amazing. Jonathan loves the Herb Crafters Tarot.
Mixed Ray is a really good question, actually, about this deck. I don't know if you can see it towards the bottom.
All right, I'll scroll down here. And yes, I do have a walkthrough of this deck.
Yes, and it's a great walkthrough. I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh wow, yeah, this sounds more promising now that you went through." And I could totally see the connections you were making. I could totally understand, as you were walking through the deck, your explanations and how, so is it helpful for anybody? You really should watch that walkthrough. It is very good. And probably still a no for me, just because partly of what Mistress Ray has said, that it seems to be like it would be for someone who doesn't know anything about plants and herbs. I feel like you need to invest time in a deck like this, right? I would assume. And I don't know that I would be motivated enough, even though it's beautiful. I just in general know that I'm the type that likes decks with, characters in them, like people or aliens or, and so just plants and nature have not often been enough to keep me engaged. So I think that for me, that's like the big thing. But it's beautiful. And I've heard from many people that, if you put the time into really getting to learn the deck, it's a beautiful deck. Have you used it for clients? No, just for yourself?
Just for myself. I really just use this deck for myself. I don't think, because I always read the guidebook when I use this deck, even to this day, like my guidebook is very well used at this point. And yeah, it's so that aspect of it, I probably could read for a client with this deck at this point, but I still feel like whenever I use it, I want to pull the guidebook out and make sure that I am thinking about all of the various associations with the plant. There are a few plants where I've done a little bit of my own research, and added some notes to the guidebook about that plant. So I really love this one. But I do agree, Mixer Shrey, that it takes a little bit of study. But I do think that it's way easier when you know that system of it and all the numerological associations, which are pretty easy to remember once you kind of nail them down, that it really starts to gel, and it gives you an immediate sort of association when you look at any one of the cards, and then there's more you can delve into as far as the plant as well. So yeah, and Jonathan, like I said, I do have a pretty deep dive walkthrough. It's not I guess it's not super deep dive,
but it's very thorough.
It's pretty thorough
walkthrough. Yeah.
Ooh, we have Amelia here. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome. Oh, a go-to client
So,
deck.
okay, that was another question I was going to ask because
Mhm.
they said that the messages are clear and gentle. What kind of voice do you feel like the deck has for you when you're working with it?
I think it is definitely clear and gentle would be a really, really good
Okay.
way to describe it.
Mhm.
I think it was it last spring or the spring before? I think it might have been the spring before, but I spent the entire spring using this deck and I had incredible readings with it. Like it just spoke through in a very, very clear voice. And I think because the artwork of it, it just feels so down to earth and realistic. And, you can kind of smell the plant and feel the earth and like all of the, you really kind of get that nature feel from the artwork of it, which I just really, really love about it. And I love that it focuses on, it's not just plants, plants in the abstract. It's every card shows how people interact with that plant,
Mm.
which helps again, like if I look at the 8 of fire here and it's ginger,
So do
right?
you think you
No.
could, from working with that deck, could you take the knowledge from that deck and take it outside of tarot and use it like in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
I stay out
100%.
of the kitchen, so that would not be helpful for me.
But I mean, I do like making teas and stuff like that, and I
Yeah,
love
we do.
so there. Like here, this is the Iha of water. So chamomile is the plants. Here is yucca. So this is Adelita of earth. So yeah, it's just honestly, it's
What,
just really wonderful.
what's the medium used on that? Is like a oil painting? What is do you know?
Believe doesn't Joanna Powell Colbert use like colored pencil? I
Oh, I don't
believe.
know. I'm
I
not familiar with her other
I am
decks.
not positive, but I feel like
It just has a very rich look to it, so which is beautiful. Like I said, it's
yeah,
beautiful art.
yeah.
Um,
I am almost positive that she actually uses colored pencil.
oh wow, it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
And I mean,
beautiful.
her drawings are absolutely, they're
They
just
are.
Mm.
so detailed and rich and beautiful. So yeah, it's just a wonderful, like here, the sun is St. John's wort. I mean, it's just like it's just, they did such a good job with this deck. I just love it. So
I think it is the amount of work that would be involved in
Yeah.
being able to effectively use this deck that is the thing that is stopping me from, because I think it looks beautiful.
mhm.
It's beautiful.
It was less work than I thought it was going to be, is
Yeah.
what I will say. Um, and again, because once you read the guidebook and you know what the system is, it's like, oh, okay, I can, and because of that, like a lot of the meanings that you can use with it are very much, they're more again just numerologically and elementally based meanings. But then there's also, so an example I give, the 3 of air in this deck is echinacea. Okay. So you think about the 3 and you think about the 3 of air, and you can get that combination. It's about thoughts. It's about growth of thoughts. And then there's also that Rider-Waite-Smith meaning that where we usually see the heart pierced by the swords, and it has to do with grief or heartbreak. And then you think about echinacea, right? And echinacea is a plant that is good for the immune system, right? Echinacea is what strengthens you to go through adversity. It has to do with the sort of being, because you've had difficult experiences, being inoculated against the difficult experiences you might have in the future. And so it really makes a ton of sense to associate echinacea with the 3 of swords, right? Like when you start thinking about the way that the plant works, you can really get so much richer meaning to it, beyond just what you can get just with the intersection of the numerology and the elemental association. So I don't know, like it really starts to come alive for you as you work with it in a really sort of rich way, I feel like. So yeah.
Mixtress Ray is saying, "Damn it, now I want it." It would go well with your Magic and Medicine of Plants Oracle too.
Yep, but it's multi-level. It can be simple to complex. Yep, absolutely. And every card, like it is a learning curve, but it's a fun one. Yep, absolutely. And path working. Totally, because I mean the cards, like the sense of place in these cards as well, like this raspberry patch. Like it's so beautiful. So yeah. Rich is the operative word. It's a very rich deck. Totally. So.
And do you feel like it's fairly universal, bearing in mind that she's Latina? She's obviously towards the south of the US. Do you think the plants are pretty universal?
The plants are completely universal. I mean, there's certainly that somewhat, especially in the like the names of the court cards, there are those references to the fact that the author is Latina, but the plants themselves, I mean, you have, thyme, you have oats.
I mean, that's and that's what I mean. I
Like,
changing the names of court cards and things
mm-hmm.
is kind of neither here nor there for me. I'm the opposite of Julie. I don't mind when they change the names of things, but it would be really frustrating to buy the deck with that, it will teach me more about herbs and plants and blah blah blah, to find that 90% of the plants in the deck are plants that do not appear in the UK at all.
Oh yeah,
no. I mean?
There's birch, there's eucalyptus, there's there's sweetgrass and plantain, but there's also apple and pomegranate, and I mean it's all different kinds of plants from all over the world. And I also, Jonathan, love that the devil is blackberry. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and so when you experience blackberries living in the Pacific Northwest and how they're absolutely delicious, but they strangle everything and take everything over and destroy your yard. It's like the perfect representation of the devil. And the production quality, it's a US Games deck. So it's got your very typical sort of US Games kind of satin cardstock. It's a little bit bigger than a normal tarot deck, but it's not a bad size. And yeah, I mean, it's a really nice quality US Games deck. Yeah.
So what are the names of the suits? Are they renamed as well? Or is it just the courts that are renamed?
So the suits are just air,
fire.
Fire.
Okay, so it's the element. Oh, I love that. That I love. Yeah.
And then, and the courts do have the Spanish names.
Okay.
So, and hold up the book. Somebody wanted me to hold up the book. So, and this is the book. It's a good sized book, and it really does have each card. There we go. Each card has a full page, and it's a really good book. So, I love this deck, and I never thought that this is the kind of deck I could work with. So, yeah. Oh yes. If you've lived in Seattle, you know all about blackberries. So
I did not know that. I learned something new.
Oh my God. It's honestly like blackberries are a scourge in the Pacific Northwest. Like they literally are. They take over everything. They form these giant, like massive blackberry hedges, and they spread all over your entire yard if you don't keep them in check. And then, but then they're absolutely freaking delicious. So like, there's also that. So yeah, it's really interesting. So yeah.
Cool.
I just talked so much. Sorry, everybody.
No, I think people are very interested in this deck, and for good reason. It sounds like there was a lot of, this wasn't just a cash grab. Obviously, there's a lot of thought and time that was put into this deck. That's clear. So I think, definitely a kind of green witch deck.
Yeah, it is well done, well crafted, well thought out. Just here's our 5 of air, white sage. I mean, it's a beautiful, really well done deck. So yeah. Anyway.
So I guess if I ever want to learn about herbs and plants, I should. That would be a great kind of study deck.
Yep. I would say so. Well, and especially because the thing that I liked about this one. So when I got this deck, I'm sorry, I'm taking over the conversation.
No.
When I got this deck, I was planning on working with a botanical deck, but the deck that I had at the time, I'd backed on Kickstarter, and it was the Botanical deck by Jessica Bach, which is another really, really beautiful deck. But the thing about that deck is that the plants are just like plants. Like they just are sort of plants in a vacuum, and this one shows very specifically how a person uses this plant, how a person works with and interacts with the plant. And that just makes them come alive for me more. I feel like, it gives you a better, like here, like this horsetail basket. it just gives you a better, easier way to connect to that plant's energy, to like understand how it actually functions when humans interact with it. So yeah.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
It's funny because when I think of that deck, I would have thought you would have already had it, Renee, because you have a garden and you have such a green thumb. So
exactly, yeah, Renee, like this, I feel like you would probably dig this deck.
Yeah, it's calling your name, Renee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For those of you
we're
who
gonna
don't
make
know, Renee has the most beautiful garden. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Heather.
So I don't think we're going to make each other buy decks today, are we? Which is why we're all working so hard on the people.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have an appreciation for both the decks that you've shown for sure. Maybe one day, if I ever get the itch to learn more about herbs and plants and such, I think that would be a fun way to learn. So yeah, but I mean, I guess when it comes to decks like that, I do see them as more like learning tools as opposed to maybe something that I would use. I don't know that it would be a deck that I would use as opposed to just having it be like a fun learning experience. And as of now, I'm not really interested enough to learn about all the herbs and things. So,
which I can understand.
So
me neither.
I kill green things. I
don't either. I have 2 houseplants, you guys, and I barely keep them alive. But seriously,
so what attracted you to this?
What attracted me to it actually, and I don't have it here with me. It was the most random thing. Like I said, I wanted to learn more about plants, so I was interested in working with a botanical deck. And I had to order a replacement card for one of my decks from US Games. And when US Games sent me my replacement card, they sent me a bookmark with artwork from this deck on it. And the artwork was so beautiful that it just like grabbed me by the throat, and it was like, so I just bought it because I just thought it was so beautiful, and I was interested in working with a botanical deck. And once I got it, I just said, oh, actually, this is a botanical deck I truly can work with. Like this actually does resonate with me really well, and I can understand it, and I'm picking up the system, and like it all works. And so it just really struck a chord with me. So
awesome.
But it was a total random thing that made me want to buy it. So
yeah. Veronica says, me too, sir. I have 3 houseplants. One of them is
I don't have any. I don't have houseplants.
Yeah.
Plants come to me to die. That's
Matt, the plants that we have are Matt's plants.
Yeah.
I don't have a green thumb. I have a black thumb. It's just I cannot keep anything alive. I'm better with animal. Like I have a dog and 3 cats and 2 cats. I swear they're all fine. I'm not like my pets alive, but they interact with you like babies do. So you know when they're hungry and when, when they need to go out and stuff. But plants just sit there and do nothing, and I forget they exist.
And then you turn around one day and you're like, oh shit, that plant's dead. Yeah.
How are you supposed to water them or something? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So
is anybody interesting? I do not have that one.
Herbal Terror. I feel like I've seen that one.
Might even be the one that I'm thinking of, which doesn't like, if I'm right, Jonathan, that one doesn't teach you anything about herbs at all, right? It is literally just an RWS deck. But
isn't it like a Los Scarabeo deck? I think maybe.
I think it's actually US Games. I believe.
Oh, US Games, maybe US Games.
Yeah.
Because that one and this one, I think I get confused because I know somebody had a herb deck and said, like, if you wanted to buy a deck for learning about herbs, don't get this.
This is not the one. Okay. Okay.
And I think that might be it, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
This made me laugh pretty hard, Beth. From the bell tolls. Yeah. That's about where. Yeah. I have the 2 plants that I have right now. I am trying so hard to keep alive because one of them is a spider plant that is a descendant of a spider plant that was owned by my grandma.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then the other one is a Christmas cactus that is a descendant of a Christmas cactus that was owned by my Aunt Bonnie, who passed away a couple years ago. So I am like determined not to kill these plants. And so far I'm doing okay, but it's because they're like specifically special plants. And if they were just normal plants, they'd be dead by now. So.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, spider plants are also very difficult to kill, right?
Yeah.
I've managed to keep a spider plant alive for ages, and then the cat started to sleep on top of it.
Yeah.
When it died, she just used to get in the pot. Well, I'm going to sleep, and it was a lost cause. But spider plants are fairly resilient.
I think Christmas cactus as well. They're pretty hardy.
Yeah, and I have them both hanging from the ceiling.
Disparaging you, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean,
seriously, like I am sure I could kill them, but and I also have them both hanging from the ceiling so that the cats can't get to them. So because that's the only other they have. I say I have killed about half my plants, and the cats have killed the other half probably. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes, the herbal tarot is US Games, and it has a book. Okay, cool.
All right.
I've killed cactuses.
Oh, we've killed cactuses.
Yeah.
They're not as easy as you would think.
No, they are not.
They're really not.
Yeah.
No, because they don't always want water, but they do want water occasionally, but you have to give them exactly the right amount.
Yes, they're very temperamental
at the right time. Otherwise you kill them.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't know that. I thought you could just like water them occasionally and they would be all right.
No.
You
water them too much, then they're like, oh my God.
You're drowning.
I'm drowning.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well.
So any other questions?
Yeah. This was a fun one.
Absolutely.
Once we got past our
once we got past the technical
aside from that, no.
Oh.
We always get back on track. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I think
the second time it's kicked me out, I think.
What's that?
This is the second time it's kicked me off and just gone, nah.
Has it always been on Sarah? Is it particular? You think it's particular to the evening time? Huh?
Yeah, no,
I was going to say, no, it's not secretly me.
Is it Sarah doing
Sarah? What are you going to tell me, Julie? Is this code for Sarah kicking you off?
Blink twice, Heather, if Sarah's been abusing you.
So yeah, I think the was it Herb Crafters Tarot has kind of won people in the chat over, I think. So
yeah, I think so.
I am happy.
Yeah.
Because it is fantastic. I love it.
Oh, Beth is asking, do any of you have Journey of the Sacred Bee? I do not. I mean, I've seen it. I think it's beautiful. Once again, the animal thing, like, I don't know, the bee thing, I don't know how well I'd connect. But yeah. I know that people love that deck.
I don't even know if I know it. Like the name is not completely unfamiliar, but I don't know.
There is, I think, both a tarot deck and now an oracle deck, I think. So,
yeah.
I
don't have a strong enough connection to bees specifically. I think that bees are amazing. But in terms of like a personal connection to bees, I don't really have that, which I feel like I would need to have in order to, I feel like a lot of the animal decks that are out there that are focused on one animal, it's like if you have a personal connection with that animal, then it's fantastic.
And if you don't,
it's sort of like, nah, it's odd. Like I can tell objectively that it's an awesome deck, but it's just not really like hitting me, a certain way.
Absolutely. And I've grown to become more interested in bees and just how they work and a colony and everything like that. There's this Instagram person that I follow who she works with bees a lot. She's from Texas, I think. And I forget her name, but she is like the bee whisperer, and you see her going in without her gear and, taking bees from, various places, because the owners of the property don't want to exterminate them, so they call her, and she's just amazing. And she shows you where the queen bee is, and so she goes through the whole process of how these bees work together, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So I can't remember but she's popular. She's very popular on Instagram, and it's really. yeah, it's given me a much larger appreciation for bees, for sure.
Oh, it sounds like it's thought based.
Which one is?
It sounds like Tarot
bee.
Geek says the Journey of the Sacred Bee is thought based.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
That sounds like that might be right. I feel like I've heard or two.
Cool. Yeah, and Julie, you're learning thought, aren't you?
Oh yes, well, yes.
Sort of. Yeah.
I am. I am. Yeah. It's going.
Hi, Amethyst. Cool to know. Okay, so the book for the Herbal Tarot is on Amazon. Very cool.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
YouTube. The extraction. Yeah. It really is fascinating, and just how, they protect the queen and they will follow the queen. So that's why the bee catcher, she always locates the queen, keeps her safe, transports her to where she wants the rest of the colony to go, and they just follow. They just follow.
You know why I knew
really
that?
is. Sorry?
Because it's in the Simpsons episode. That's why I knew that.
Oh, yeah. I did not know much about bees until that. And also the Bridgerton book, where they're also very lethal, apparently. And
well, and we all
they
saw
are
My
lethal.
Girl as children, so
if people are allergic to bees, then yes, they are.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is just a bad Bridgerton joke for anybody who's read that particular book.
Or has watched season 2.
Or has watched
No spoilers, but bees are implicated. So, all right.
But yes, I mean, hey, in Raven Boys,
yes,
Nancy was allergic, right?
Kanzi is allergic, and then we end up with Robo Bee in the 4th book. I mean, there's there's all kinds.
They're formidable creatures.
They are. They're very special.
Yeah,
so I think bees
They
are
absolutely amazing. If bees die out, it will have devastating effects on the ecosystem. Devastating effects.
Oh yeah, we'll all die if bees die out. Yeah.
Yes,
we'll all die. Yeah,
they're incredible.
They really are.
Yeah,
absolutely. So,
all right.
Right.
Okay, folks. Well, I think we're done for today. But again, we will be on Gerald's channel next weekend.
Yes.
Talking about the Anna K Tarot. Source of much
your favorite, guys. Your
controversy
favorite.
Always.
The deck you love to
hate. We will also be back with Two Girls, One Deck the following weekend on Julie's channel this time, but we will also be having a special guest. So please do tune in, and we will see you guys in both of the next 2 weekends in various locations. So,
and if any of you want to guest star, come on and chat with us, do drop us a line, DM us on Instagram or email us, and we'd love to have you on.
We're on Gerald's channel next Saturday at the same time as we
at the same time. Yes. So 1 p.m.
Exactly. 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, 6 p.m. British time.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right.
All right, folks. Thank you
so much, everyone.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.